Assalamu alaikum. Yeah. So
Assalamualaikum.
Muneeb, I think you are in New York.
Yes.
Very early in the morning. So thank you very much for making yourself available for this event. 2 दिन से हम जो है वो चीज़ों के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, and I think this is the right time to close this event with your talk. हमने आपका इंट्रोडक्शन पहले करा दिया आपकी एब्सेंस में, so you can start with your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Dash. It's always great to be talking to people at LUMS. And I really wish I was there in person, but there's actually an event going on here in New York. So we couldn't make it in person. So introduced some of the background. But one thing I do want to highlight is I'm a very proud alumni of LUMS. I don't think that I would have able to like join this industry or to be able to do the work that I've been able to do. If not so all the professors and everybody at the university for help way. Quick sort of like summary of this, like just gone into the Bitcoin and the blockchain industry, and over there I've sort of like seen the so basically I think the way this is that when I started, imagine like Ethereum's white paper was not even launched at that point. Like Ethereum was not even an idea at that point. So we've sort of like seen the original vision of this technology, what people wanted to do, what people like really excited about in the beginning. I've sort of like seen the idea maze of various different things that people proposed, and what worked, like didn't work. What were the things that, how even regulations evolved, especially in the US? What were the things that the regulators got wrong in the beginning? And what type of work was required to sort of like steer the ship in a much better direction? So, and I think one of the things that I personally would like to do is take a lot of those learnings and sort of like channel them in Pakistan, especially through the LUMP Center, so that we can avoid some of the mistakes made in the past that other countries have made, and also how can we benefit as fast as possible from the things that are actually working, right? Like not every idea or not every sort of like use case developed on this technology is finding the type of product market fit that you would hope that it would, right? But there are some things that are being incredibly useful, and I think we can almost like jumpstart and focus on the things that are really working well, and especially from a policy and regulation perspective, avoid the common traps and the common fears that people generally sort of like go into, and try to take things in the right direction, if that makes sense. So I've been sort of like involved with various sort of like government bodies as much as possible, and overall my interaction has been very positive. So I wanna give a shout out to people at Pivara. I wanna give a shout out to people at other various sort of like state banks and other regulatory bodies that we have interacted with. I think generally speaking, people are very curious. They seem to be very eager. They seem to be very flexible, and they're looking to learn more. And looking for feedback and input in how to sort of like steer this almost like a wave of new technology in the right direction. So that's a very positive sign. So I would say that um, at a high level, we should just think of this as a new technical wave, like basically a new type of a technology, and the technology itself is pretty neutral. You can use it in almost any way as you want. More specifically, if you think about my project Stacks, we focus on the Bitcoin side. Basically, think of this as if Bitcoin is the base layer, uh, Bitcoin is sort of like the money layer. Uh, we are the programming rails on top of it. So it's basically the largest Bitcoin L2, these layers built on top of Bitcoin, and it enables developers to build all sorts of applications on top of Bitcoin. It could be exchanges, it could be lending platforms, it could be payment platforms, it could be non-financial applications, and we have one of the top five fastest growing developer communities in the industry, and which is something that we're very proud of. So if you take something like Stacks, it is a neutral technology layer. You can build regulated services and applications on it. You could build decentralized services and applications on it. The technology itself is pretty flexible and pretty neutral. So when it comes to Pakistan, I think the way I think about this is that the first thing we need to overcome is sort of like this fear uh, of these blockchains type technology. That there might be this fear that as soon as you integrate something like this, you're tripping wires with all sorts of regulations, you're uh, opening up market to potential bad actors and all sorts of other things. And I think that's not entirely true because depending on your application, you can have all sorts of KYC and AML requirements. You can even sandbox things um, in 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 sort of like test environments until you become comfortable. Uh, Even especially, I know there are some people who are from various banks that are in the audience. You can even look at ways where you keep the existing infrastructure, and this technology layer is actually converting assets into dollars or Pakistani rupees at the last mile. So nothing changes for a bank. This is just another sort of like doorway to your existing services, right? You don't even need to hold any of the crypto assets on your balance sheet as the first step. And I think this framework of sort of like, learning to crawl before learning to walk, before learning to run, is pretty important because taking some of those initial steps would go a long way, right? So, for example, going back to the bank's example, like if in the first step the bank doesn't even want to hold any crypto asset, be it stable coins or Bitcoin or anything else, I think that's completely feasible. You can still build applications where a lot of the inflow of the assets is in stable coins, and at the last mile, they're just converted into dollars or Pakistani rupees, which you already know how to handle and what is the regulatory framework. And that's already possible, right? Like Stacks can do this today, or other chains and other projects that are out there. They can do that today as well. I do want to give a shout out to one of the startups that is built on Stacks. We recently collaborated with them to sign a MOU with the Bank of Punjab, which was actually pretty refreshing to see because you would expect it that is sort of like um, majority owned by the government to be slower in pace in it. I've actually shown great interest. Look at various sort of like, test phases and applications that can be built. Which brings me to one of the most obvious sort of like use cases of this technology, which is the large amount of remittance payments that actually happen from Pakistan. Most people are sort of like familiar with the status quo, like how these things happen, and people are sort of like used to paying an extremely large amount of fees to companies like Western Union or other banks. And it's not just the explicit fees that they charge, it's also the bad conversion rates that you get when you're trying to move money on the old rails, so to speak. So this new wave of technology of blockchains, like Stacks and Ethereum and Solana and others, they're extremely efficient. So we should view them as basically much more efficient rails over which such remittance payment flows can actually happen very easily, in an extremely cost-effective manner. But it's not just the cost; it's also the ease of use of the users on the other side, right? Um, Making remittances still remains sort of like a clunky experience for a lot of people. And the next generation applications, they can be mobile friendly, super easy to use for users, and also programmable. Uh, uh, um, you can potentially increase the total size of the market and the that is easily able to that a lot of people will be aligned in. They want to increase their dollar reserves. They want to increase the size of the sort of like the remittance market. And I think that could be a common sort of like use case that people can get behind to introduce this technology in here. And I think that that could be a great way to do it. And and I know that there are so many other applications that people are looking at, um, and people want to, for example, start somehow regulated exposure to Bitcoin and potentially other assets as well. And over there, what I would say is, again, take small steps. Like whatever is the smallest step. Again, the analogy of, you need to learn how to crawl before you need to walk. And you can even enable things for the local economy, just, peer-to-peer trading of assets, or uh, do full KYC on people, and effectively create like a walled garden where people who are already within Pakistan with the type of assets they already have in their country, they're able to just exchange them and trade them, right? Get a feel of the technology, like how easy it makes these things, and then slowly try to connect the local economy with the global economy with the right guardrails. So I think these types of things are very easily possible, and we're here to help, right? Like as I said, that our project Stacks already has all these capabilities. We even have a Stacks Asia Foundation, which is a licensed entity based out of ADGM, one of the few foundations who actually have that license in the region. And we are pretty active in the area. Happy to sort of walk people through their initial thinking, large institutions and banks, which is something that Stacks is generally focusing on, right? So I think the last minute or two I can take to tell people about what we are excited about at Stacks in general. So I think if you look at what has happened with Bitcoin, is that it took us like 5 or 10 years to understand the asset at an institutional level. But in the last 2 3 years, now firms like BlackRock, so BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF now has maybe 70 80 billion dollars worth of Bitcoin in it, which means that most of the institutions in the US now understand what this asset is, why is it important, how is Bitcoin kind of like a savings technology. And now we are entering the next phase of it, which is now people understand what this asset is. Now they want to earn income on it. They want to earn a yield on it. They want to actually deploy this capital and make it a productive asset. And this is where Stacks really shines because it's a programmable Rails for Bitcoin, and people can actually deploy Bitcoin along with other assets like stablecoins and so on to be in yielding strategies, in lending and borrowing. You can actually contribute your capital to a lending pool and earn income while your capital sort of like sits there providing liquidity for some of those things. So those are some of the applications that we are seeing, and we are seeing a lot of sort of like traction for these things. And we would love to see Pakistan sort of like open up, not from an institutional side and the users be users of these applications, but from a developer and application building perspective as well. I think there's a lot of talent in this country, and I think people can build amazing applications on top of platforms like Stacks and others as well. And obviously through the Lump Center, we are happy to collaborate and work closely with the developers and the institutions who are coming here. Let me pause here, and maybe I'll try to see if the video is working now.
Yes, I think it works perfectly fine. Let's see if you're able to see us as well.
Yeah, I can see everyone.
That's great.
Yeah, I think that's all from my side. As I mentioned, like we have a dedicated entity, the Stacks Asia Foundation, based out of Abu Dhabi, which is actually looking at this entire region. Any institutions who are trying to work in the area, we are happy to sort of like have discussions, walk through design plans, and help you as much as possible.
Yes. First, actually, you've endorsed all the brilliant ideas that we've discussed in these 2 days. So thank you so much for that. And if that's okay with you, we'd like to take a question or two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So can we have the mic? Okay, we have one question from Durrani. Mr. Sardar Ahmed Durrani, your old friend. Yes.
He knows me. I'm an early backer of Stacks as well. So the reason, Muneeb, I know you would have the answer. The reason I'm asking this question is I'm sitting among some of the gentlemen here who would directly be Stacks customers as well. But I want to ask this question because you're involved in the policy side. So even I don't have the answer. I hope you have an answer. One of the biggest issues is how can the treasury of a large institution allow dollar or rupee to go into BTC and then earn yield on it through SBTC or Stacks. I hope you've worked it out as a ring-fenced a VO Bank model where rupee to BTC directly can happen maybe within the country, so State Bank is happy as well, so the money's not going out. That's my only concern, that how do we convert rupee to BTC slash Stacks and earn yield on it, and then back into it so that State Bank is happy, people are happy, and everyone makes money.
Absolutely. I think this is great. So one of the things that I'm personally really excited about, and I think we have finally made more progress on making that a reality, is some sort of a PKR based stablecoin. And from the Stack side, we are absolutely ready. Like, you know, if people want to do this tomorrow, we can issue a PKR based stablecoin, and all we need is banking partners locally in the country who are able to keep those reserves. So what that enables is type of applications that Durrani is talking about, that anyone who, let's say, has a savings account in Pakistani rupees, you want to go into a stable coin, you still have your money. Your money is still sitting in a bank account at the back end, and now you have this digital representation of your rupees, and you can go. The way I would do this conversion is I wouldn't even convert Pakistani rupees into Bitcoin. I would just draw some Bitcoin loan against that collateral, right? So you keep your assets in either dollars or Pakistani rupees that you want, and you are basically borrowing Bitcoin uh, against that collateral, and then you can go and actually use that Bitcoin in different applications, earn yield on it, and so on. That's the easiest way where because no conversion is happening, so you wouldn't trip like all sorts of like these different sort of like regulations and so on. But eventually, I do think that we can expand this to where people can easily like trade in and out and try to participate in some of these strategies.
All right.
But the first step and the most critical step, I think, remains seeing a PKR-based stablecoin, which I think would be amazing. I don't think there's any country, even US reluctantly accepted stablecoins. They weren't open to them in the beginning. Private companies just went ahead and did it. Tether is famously the large one, and then there's Circle, and we're close to both of these companies as well, right? So if large banks in Pakistan want to do something in collaboration, Stacks is a technology layer, and we can bring our partners with us very easily for such applications.
That's great. Thank you. One last question, Muneeb, from our audience.
Naeem Khanani here. I have two questions. One first question,
One will-
very simple question.
Okay.
Have you discussed and discovered with the Pakistani central banks and banks how to manage or create Vostro and Nostro accounts for crypto, and how to access your foundation, Stack Foundation, from Pakistani startups and banks perspective? Do I need to repeat the
Yes,
question?
Muneeb. Did you hear us?
Yeah, I got that. I
Okay,
got the
great.
connection. I got the question. So first about the Nostro accounts, I think they are very helpful. So as I mentioned earlier, the Stacks has had a MOU signed with the Bank of Punjab very recently, and over there, one of the interesting things we're exploring are these Nostro type accounts that already exist, because they already create sort of like a sandbox that we can use and just connect. Think of this as like the technical step here is just connecting this new technology, call it the Stacks blockchain or others, with the technology stack of the bank. So once these things are connected, let's say I can now easily send a stablecoin payment that would appear in someone's Nostro account. We've already achieved a lot, right? So and the regulatory setup of these accounts actually makes it pretty preferred to start with these accounts versus a typical bank account that is in Pakistan. So we've had those discussions. Happy to sort of like talk to you more about it. And in terms of the Stacks Foundation, like one of the things that we are able to do, and we're very grateful that we're in a position to do this, we can actually make investments in the country, especially in startups. So there is one such team that's already here. Also alumni, Hassan Beg, he was in BSc 2005. He transferred out to Duke. He's already raised some resources to be able to build applications directed at the country, and the Stacks Foundation would obviously support them. And we're happy to do that for other startups and applications in the country as well. And I'm talking about like potentially millions of dollars of investments, right? Like we're very, very happy to come and support it. And I actually think that these are not just to help the country, but there's an opportunity to actually get returns on these investments as well, right? Like I think stable coins right now, especially, is an area where even the venture capital markets in the Silicon Valley is heavily investing in this area. So if there are developers and entrepreneurs in the country that are actually looking at these things, your startups can actually raise capital from international markets as well for this. There's a huge demand from the venture capital side right now for these applications.
That's great. Okay. Let's just have one last question.
Hi, my name is Mir Adil. I look after HBL Asset Management. Currently, there is a friction between the regulator, which is State Bank, and the banks on who will issue the stable coin? Should it be State Bank itself, or should the banks issue their own stable coin? What's your view on that? If you're given the decision, which side will you take?
I think I would just let a private company do it. Because the only thing that the bank needs to do is just give them a bank account and some sort of a no action letter that if you're using this bank account for these purposes, that's totally fine. Because private institutions are probably able to move a lot faster, and this is the thing that we've seen in the US as well. The two of the largest stable coins, they're both private companies, and they are then working with the regulators to figure out all the right frameworks. But the private companies are able to move much faster, and I think the banks probably don't want to take on the risk, or they might not have the technical expertise to be able to do it. So I would just encourage banks to just go and partner with somebody who already has the know-how and knows how to do it. And literally all they have to do is just open a bank account for them and say, this bank account can be used as a reserve for the stablecoin. And then that's about it.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Muneeb, for always coming to our events and speaking for our audience. And we would love to have you and hear from you more in our upcoming events as well. So thank you so much for taking time
Thank you so
out.
much. Hopefully in person next time.
Absolutely. It was amazing. It was very successful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.